The next question I have for you is actually one on your blog, and our good friend Carrie Pierce, she was the guest post on this. It said, the question is, the good, the bad, and the ugly, lovemaking in the middle-aged body. What women wish men knew? Can you tell us what inspired that post? Because I'm just curious. I want to know what women really want to know.
Well, I find it so interesting because when I had this conversation with Carrie, and, I speak to not only women, but most of the time women, of course, but I speak with men too. And every once in a while I'm lucky enough to get two partners on the phone, which is really quite rewarding. And I think that every time we talk about vaginal dryness, so many of these women have terrible issues with their sexuality. They want to have sex, but they can't because it hurts too badly, or they don't have the libido that they had when they were younger. There's a couple of things and I speak with these people about it, and I think that that's why it's so important to include men in the mix of conversations. I found that most of the men that I speak with are very understanding to that, to the plight that their partners have. This is a really, really big issue. And what I tell the men and what I tell the women as well is if you're sexually active, once you've started using vaginal renewal complex, you're going to start getting moist again and you're going to start plumping up again. But if you feel that you need additional lubrication, rather than using those gels to help because I didn't care for them at all, pop an extra VRC prior to having intercourse. It's very comfortable for both partners because it goes inside, and it's a wonderful lubricating effect on the vaginal wall. So that's a very big issue, that women want their husbands to know that they would like to have sex, or their partners, but it really is too painful. And as I said, most of the men are very understanding about that. When I speak with men or both partners, always at the end of the conversation, it always goes back to, well, will this help my wife sexually? Dr. Green always talks about maybe if you need a little help with the libido, from a compounding pharmacy, you can get some testosterone cream, which like a gel, which helps. It did me as well, to bring back the libido. But one of the things that's so important is that you have to create your atmosphere, especially as we get older and especially as we experience these discomforts of having intercourse. If your partner and you understand each other and you light a candle, you listen to some nice music, you have to kind of set your atmosphere. And why VRC is so helpful with that, as I tell them all, is that there's no interruption. I had one woman say to me, thank me and say, hey, now my mojo's not being ruined anymore because I don't have to think about it. The oil is up there. So it works, and that's a very big issue for both men and women.
Do you feel that some women might either feel embarrassed about this topic and don't talk to or seek out an expert like yourself, or even tell their husband?
Absolutely. I cannot tell you how many women I speak with just can't bring the topic up. They find it embarrassing. They don't want to talk about it openly. Some of these women call me, and by the way, most of the time that the men call me, it's because their partners are a little embarrassed to order VRC or to ask those questions. So for some reason, men find it easier to do so. I try very hard to get women to call me, though, if their husbands happen to make the call for them, because what I try and do is, if they are very hesitant about discussing that topic, I talk about my own personal experience. And once they feel comfortable, it's like the floodwaters open up. Most of the time I'm on the phone with women at least 20 minutes to a half hour, and we talk about it, and I listen, and I think that they need to have someone to talk to, a contemporary that really lives through it and understands what they're feeling. And it works very well for these people and for me too.
Wow, yeah, no,
So that's a great question.
Thank you. I definitely feel like that would be something that some women would definitely, just be a little bit embarrassed about and not sure who to seek out. And I'm glad that you've told your story and utilized your story to inspire them. I do the same a lot when people are coming to me for exercise and diet and nutrition information. I really work with them and share with them, stories of past clients, my own challenges and struggles, which inspires them to have more confidence and ability that they can do it as well. Well, this has been really, really great, Olga. I appreciate you getting on the call, but we're going to be wrapping up shortly. But I always like every podcast to make sure that there's some usable takeaways that the listeners can take away right away and start to use. What would you say are 3 tips you want our listeners to take away from this show?
Well, I've almost answered them. I made a list of them, and here they are. I'm going to repeat it because I think I've said it. Women like to talk about it, but they're embarrassed. Anyone can call me. I make sure that, and I have a lot of users, but I always make sure that I get back to every woman to answer any questions. And if I can't answer them, if it's a medical question, I pose it to the doctors that I'm involved with. So, and we always try and find an answer for them. So I'm available whenever needed. And the second one, of course, once again, is if you're sexually active and you feel you need extra lubrication, you pop one up in addition to your regimen, because vaginal renewal complex is a program. It's a regimen that you really need to stay on. It's like moisturizing your outer body. You need to moisturize your inner body. And it's something that you don't stop, but it does taper down, because now my usual recommendation is 5 times a week. I've been on my own program for about 4 years now, and maybe I use it a couple times a week. And there are alternatives. That's what I want women to know. There are alternatives to hormone replacement therapy if you cannot or choose not to be on that program.
Great.
So those would be the most important.
Great tips. Now, I'm sure the listeners are going to want to find out how to connect with you. You said that they can reach you by phone as well as you answer all your emails. Can you just share with everyone your website, a number they can reach you at, and your email address so that I can put that in the show notes and make sure that everyone who wants to reach out to you can find you?
Well, absolutely. First of all, our website, they can go on www.olgassecret, OLGASSECRET.com. They can certainly call me at 1-800-564-2160, or they can connect through our email address, which is Grohen Tech, that's GROHEN Tech, TECH, at gmail.com.
Awesome. I'm really excited. I'm sure you're going to get some people to reach out, and once we get this released on the podcast, we'll make sure to link all of those notes up. Olga, I really appreciate your time today. And
thank you so much, Chris.
You're welcome. You have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much. You have a good day yourself. Thanks. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Didn't I tell you that was going to be an amazing, amazing interview? Olga, thank you so much. We really appreciate that information that you gave us. We're going to have a special code for you guys. If you're listening to this podcast, I'm going to make sure to get a code where you can get 10% off of Olga's Inner Intimates products line, where then you can actually get a copy. You could head over to her blog as well. She's got some great content over there, but you can actually pick up some of the products at a discount, and I'll make sure to get that in the show notes as well. It is that time for Twitter love.